Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leaders What podcast. Today, for episode 231, I have a very special guest that I met once again here in beautiful Kuala Lumpur. My very new good friend, Riad Hechame from beautiful Algeria. He's got an amazing story, an amazing path. Just like me, he's a globetrotter. He's lived in many countries. As I said, he's from Algeria. He studied in the UK, studied also in Germany, and worked in nuclear energy around the world, where he was engineering nuclear power plants. Talk about being amazing. He's also a very fit man where, fitness and sports have played a big part of his life. He's a black belt in karate, which is amazing. He's a pro fitness coach working with executives at the highest level and former athletes, helping them and helping people reach and attain the very best version of themselves mentally and physically. He has a very high-end gym in the heart of downtown Kuala Lumpur, KLCC, on Boulevard of Stars, and the best place in town. He invited me to his gym, and I got the pleasure of being trained by him. I will tell you, I thought I was fit, but he killed me. I had to take one day off on yesterday because I could barely walk, and he said, "Oh, you're just taking it easy. That's nothing." So just to tell you how good it is, how intense it is. This guy with his team, the first day they made me lose 1 kilo. The second day they made me lose a kilo and a half. So basically in 2 sessions, I lost 2.5 kilos, which is like 3 pounds, which is phenomenal. So I wish I had met him at the start of my journey in KL. By now, I would have been completely jacked. But again, when I come back next time, of course, I will be, going to his gym because he's the real deal. He's amazing. He's been in KL since 2019. He's a phenomenal gentleman. Has a huge heart. And this is why he's here today on the Leaders What podcast to talk about his impact and share his story. So without any further ado, Riad, brother, bonjour. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bonjour, Lorenzo. Thank you for the invitation. Very glad to be here.
Pleasure's all mine, my friend. Pleasure's all mine. I had to bring you here because you're doing a phenomenal job. And this is the least I can do because my podcast is all about providing visibility to good people with beautiful hearts and powerful messages to win. And as I said, you have a beautiful heart, you have a powerful message, and you're a great person as well. So you're a perfect fit and a very inspiring path and story. So of course I had to bring you back. So anyways,
thank you.
Very welcome. So tell us, I don't know so the type of conversations I like to have on my podcast is we're going to talk about your business, what you're doing. But what this podcast is all about is mostly to get to know you, to see it as a person, to have a look under the hood, so to speak, to see what's in your heart, to see who's Riad as a person, as a human being, first and foremost, before the business person, because we do business with people we can connect, relate, and trust. And if you can't connect with someone as a personal level, we will not be doing business with them. So this is what this podcast is about. Are you ready to start?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to my person, I would say I'm a human being.
Yeah.
My passion is helping my people to achieve their best versions. And then I don't see any limit when I see basically and sense weak links, whether it's sleep, stress management, nutrition, I just help. So I remember when I was back then in nuclear engineering, of course, when you study something when you are young and you take a decision to study, well, you do it and then you start working. Challenge is basically to prove it to yourself and your line management that you can do a job, especially in the nuclear engineering, which is one of the most complex, let's say, human sciences we have on Earth. Very precise, a lot of parameters, a lot of safety. And after 15 years, I decided basically that this is enough of a challenge. So I did the whole cycle from designing systems from scratch, then putting them on paper, then getting them approved, then defending the design with the authorities, then eventually doing changes, optimizing, and seeing the systems being installed, and then starting up a nuclear power plant until you see the nuclear power plant has been producing or is producing electricity. So that was like, took me 15 years to see the whole cycle. So nuclear engineering is quite deep and complex, and the projects are very long lasting. Again, so it took me 15 years to come from scratch to seeing the plant in production. I remember I was back then expatriating in the UK, in Bristol, where I was always into sports. I was playing handball. I was doing karate. I was playing basketball.
No football?
And then in my yes, as Algerian, I think we are born with the soccer ball anyway. So, however, in Bristol back then, I remember I came back from the kitchen into the open space and saw all those 50 plus engineers, colleagues, all ducked, looking to their screens. And then suddenly a very, very powerful question came into my mind. Am I going to continue working this way until retirement? I was back then already 40, 41. So I said to myself, no, actually not. I have never felt it like as the end calling. So I felt there is something else behind. I would like to do something else, but I wasn't sure what should it be. Yeah. And then with that critical question, basically, I started being aware about what I'm doing right now, what I should change to, or finding basically an idea or passion or something I'm very passionate about in order to eventually shift the career. So it was very risky to basically go so far because having kids, having a very comfortable paycheck. I know a lot of my colleagues who would love to change and take the same path and follow their passion, but they cannot. So it's a very tough decision. And then you start basically from scratch. Yeah. And you start in hands only with one thing: your passion, helping people to achieve their best version. That was the fire in me. So, and that led me to later on to look for mentors, to come up with a strategy how I can learn the maximum amount of information, usable information, knowledge, and pick the brains of the best health and performance trainers worldwide in order to so make it with the career shift. Yeah, so that was basically the motivator to change the profession.
Beautiful. That's so wonderful. Thank you for sharing this. We're going to dive into all of that in detail further later on. So what I like to start when I start my show is to ask my guests, and I'll ask you as well, a series of rapid fire questions to further get to know you. Ready?
Sure, let's go.
All right. So tell us, what makes you happy as a person, as a human being?
Besides from being connected with my creator, having let's say hardwired connection, not a weak Wi-Fi connection, that I would say that's number one. Secondly, seeing my kids and my family doing well. And third, it's my passion, seeing my clients coming in with issues, with problems, with goals, and then helping them, relieving pain, helping them to sleep better, helping them getting stronger, helping them achieving their goals. That's number three. Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, what makes you smile as a person?
I think I smile a lot. One of the techniques in my book, Stress Less, Sleep Better, is smile. I think when you have a smile, for me, it's like a key to solve any problem. When we smile and we meet people, and with a smile, this is like welcoming. Hello, I'm friendly, I'm honest, I want good with you, I want peace with you. For me, smiling is I very often have a smile. Yeah.
I agree. Smile is the best medicine. It cures all,
Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Beautiful. Now,
Yeah.
let's take the happiness factor a couple of notches higher. What makes your heart come alive? What makes your soul set on fire in a positive way?
Mm. I would say as soon as I, let's say in the coaching world, when as soon as I sense the weak links with my
Mm,
client and sense as well that my client is willing to change and willing to commit and willing to follow and to trust, yeah, there I think I have all energy, really fire to see the person progressing from session to session, from set to set, from rep to rep, from day to day. That sets me on a fire. Yeah, absolutely.
beautiful. Beautiful. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, what makes you sad and angry?
Okay. Sad makes me some human behaviors of
Mm,
untrust, of selfishness, of having a narrow heart. But then I right away say, okay, give and don't expect. So because if you expect, you will be ending being very often sad. So I realize, I say, well, could have been better, but then I move on and move on with a smile. So what makes me angry, I'm not very often angry. And even if I'm angry, I'm usually under control. As an Algerian, it's very tough. Yeah.
mm,
But usually yeah, very, very rare cases. What makes me angry, maybe if I would be on a street, for example, and I see two people, one weak, one strong, and the strong is doing harm to a weak, that would make me like 1,000% angry. And then
mhm.
it would jump in and of course help. But other than this, in my sphere, if someone makes me angry, I would just, again, smile and move on. No time uh, to
Absolutely.
invest in situations which are not worth it.
Absolutely. I'm totally with you on that. Now, what scares you?
Fearing to lose relationship to God,
Mm,
because I believe this relationship, whatever the religion is, it doesn't really matter. God selects us to know Him, and sometimes He chooses. I see a lot of people coming in and going out as my clients, and I see people who have lost their faith. I see people who have found faith or changed faith. I think the thing which scares me the most is to wake up one day and then having questions for myself which I cannot answer,
mm.
losing faith. And it happened to me already when I was 20 and found it back with 26. I think this is, yeah, so that's something which we need to nurture, to nourish, and to take care of. That's something like a flower, which needs to be taken care of. Yeah.
Uh, Fascinating. So, what would you say would make someone lose their faith?
Okay, if we get back to, let's say, my religion, the last prophet says, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said, the heart of the people are between two fingers of the Creator,
Wow.
and he turns them as he wishes. And him being, having full access to our hearts, knowing our thoughts, knowing things which haven't happened, which will happen, which could happen if we prevent what's going on in our heart. So I think it's always like a struggle to have a pure intention. As soon as we start changing the intention, start being selfish, start being, the Prophet has said on another hadith or saying, whenever you do bad thing, this is like a small, like stain on your heart. And then the more stains you have on your heart, the least you will feel this connection to God and faith until your heart dies. And when it dies, it's basically we are lost. And that's what makes me scared. But again, so it's not something which I would say it scares me and then it leaves me, let's say, without action. It's something we said, okay, we need to be aware of. It can change anytime. So we have to have always clean intention and renew the intention and doing good and so on and so forth. And one of the boosters of faith, sincerely, is having an open eye for the needy, looking for people who needs help, and they are everywhere, especially after COVID. No? So, and you could help with a smile, you could help with the $1, you can help
Cup of
with
coffee.
lifting something for them, anything. It can be anything, even a smile. No? So, as a prophet said again in another saying, your smile is a charity.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was my next question, because that's fascinating. You said, we talked about how can someone lose their faith, but if someone has lose their faith and they get their heart die as a result of all the stains on it, how can they clean that up and regain that connection with God?
Absolutely. I would say that's the beauty of faith. I know there are different faiths and so on and so forth. The faith I know the most is Islam, and that's the beauty in this faith, is whenever it doesn't matter how far you are and how much you have done, as soon as you repent, as soon as you wake up and stand up and say, okay, I want to change, yeah, you will find God facing you and just helping you to clean up your heart and stand up again, and he will be there. He will not say, no, you neglected me for 3 years, no, I will not accept you. He will never do this. There is one friend of the prophet who came to him and said, if I do a mistake, what should I do? Said, yeah, so you have to ask for forgiveness and God will forgive you. I said, okay, and if I do it again? I said, yeah, repent again, it will forgive you. And then he was like wondering. Asked a third question. If I do another thing again, will he forgive me? He said, whenever you repent, he will forgive you. And then the guy asked, doesn't he get bored by always forgiving? And he said, not until you get bored from asking for forgiveness.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's standing up, cleaning yourself, asking God, I want to repent, and you will find him there.
Thank you. That's a very beautiful answer. I love that. I love that. Thank you. Now, what would you say is your personal superpower as a person?
I would say the character, feeling people, sensing when they need help, and doing everything to help.
Beautiful.
Because when I help, I don't see it, let's say, necessarily for that person. That person might be worth it. It might not be worth it. You should not ask yourself, oh, this guy looks like he would do with the money something bad. If you think he would do something bad with the money, give him food. Okay, give him a smile, help with something else. If he's worth it, then he's worth it. It was worth it. And if he's not worth it, you are worth it.
Absolutely.
Okay? Because when you give, you will get back. That's for sure, and you get multiple back. Okay.
Absolutely.
The wife of the prophet used to, whenever she goes out, she would put the money, the coin, inside perfume, and then she would give it to the needy.
Wow.
And then until some people find out, her coins are always smelling very, very good with perfume. Why? What's happening? And they asked her. She said, yes, because when I give the coin to the needy, it falls in God's hand first.
Wow. That is beautiful.
All right. Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you. That's powerful.
Welcome.
Now let's move forward. You like traveling, right?
I love traveling, yeah. So with the business last time, it's a little bit of difficult. Once the travel is done, basically, once the flight is gone, then I enjoy. But the travel process itself, being in enclosed in a plane, with all the sound and under pressure and the space and so on and so forth. I don't like the act of travel, but once I'm there, I love it.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to take you down a different type of traveling, down memory line. Go back to when you were a young boy growing up.
Right.
You know, when we were kids growing up, people around us, parents, teachers, family, relatives, friends, will always ask us, so Riad, what do you want to become when you grow up? What was your answer as a young boy to that question?
Wow, I can remember this. I was I think I was like 6 or 7 years old. I was in first or second class, and the teacher asked all of us in a class what that question, right? And then I don't know why. I think maybe I was watching a comic movie or whatever, which yeah, gave me that idea. I told her I want to become a pilot of a rocket and like let's
Wow.
travel space. That was my answer. And all the others, they were telling, okay, bus driver, car driver, boat driver, ship driver, whatever. And so all they were on planet Earth, only me. I said, okay, space. And then she looked at me and she didn't know what to say. And basically she hasn't said anything. She was like, it was too much for the teacher.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's stay when you were a young boy growing up. What was your relationship with school? Did you love school or did you hate school growing up?
I had different relationships, I would say. So when I was young, before school, my sister quite prepared me for school. So I was quite good in for example, in math and alphabet and writing and so on and so forth, whether in French or Arabic. I was doing extremely well the first few years. But then I guess the complexity of the classes were too complex for her, and she gave up on me, and hence I was a little bit, yeah, didn't had very very good relationship. Let's say it was a middle student, nothing really, not bad, not extraordinary. I would say with the 17 when I was 17 years old and doing the baccalaureate in Algeria, which is quite tough back then. Yeah, this I would say there I started because I failed the first time, okay, and I had to redo it one more time. And when I have redone one more time, this redoing gave me the opportunity to, yeah, be much better, and then also to be not only much better, but to take the opportunity really to be extraordinary better. This taught me to be a perfectionist. I would say the feeling of perfectionism, it was when I was 17 when I started. Yeah, so when I was doing the baccalaureate and before going to Germany.
Yes. So for those who don't know it, the baccalaureate, the bac in the French system is the final exam you have after the end of grade 12. You have to pass it to go to the next stage, which is whatever university you want to go. So, and that's very tough because it encompasses all of the subjects, like, I don't know, what, 7, 10 subjects, and each one has its own, test. Both some of them have 2 tests, one written, one verbal, oral, so it's very stressful. Yes, it's a very stressful time for students. So yes. Okay, awesome.
Indeed, yeah.
What was your favorite subject in school growing up?
I liked sports. I liked science, like biology. I liked math, being logical. I would have loved to have a better relationship with chemistry. Chemistry was a complicated, and the we had were difficult to, yeah, to learn from. I was very good at physics. So basically, in the second time when I repeated the baccalaureate, I had extremely good notes on
Grades,
physics, on the grades, biology and math, and a French system. So I had, I think, 18.5, 18.5, and 19 or something from 20.
Out of
So
20,
it was
yes.
basically
It's like
A
90%,
plus,
95%. Yes, that's very good. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, moving forward, what was your very first job? What was the very first time that you actually get paid doing work? And do you remember how much was your very first money that you made?
Yeah, I remember very well. It's a funny story. I just remember I was, I think it was maybe around 11, 12, 13, something in
Wow.
Algeria. So I asked my brother. I told him, look, so I would like to do something. I cannot just during the vacation just sit and do nothing. I would like to learn something new. And my brother had a friend who had he was a mechanician, so fixing
Like a shop.
cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he told me, yeah, you can go and help him. Yeah. So being in Algeria back then in the 80s, I feared even to ask what's the salary is. I just relied on my brother to have fixed for me a good pay, or negotiated a good pay. So I went there, and it was just like learning. So I would give to the fixer the keys. I would prepare for him his workstation. I would clean up, remove oil and this and that, or change the brakes later on, and started learning or exchange the oil, etc., etc. So learned quite a bit. And then the fixer was like from week to week, he was giving me a coin. I said, okay. He's a good man, so he's paying me a pay at the end of the month, and then giving me some coins. That's great of him. And then at the end of the month, I was expecting my pay, and he hasn't paid me. So, and I was embarrassed to ask him. And then I asked my brother, I said, have you actually talked to him and somehow asked him about the salary? He said, no. So basically, the few coins was my salary. Okay, so but it was a great experience. I still learned, let's say, to fix cars, fix some issues on cars, and get my hands dirty.
So you
That
change
was my first
oils,
job.
your own tires, and you check your own. Okay, that's good. That's a good skill to have, you know?
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, moving forward, how would you describe your path from the moment you left school? Would you say your path was pretty much straightforward, or was it, more like a roller coaster with turns and twists, ups and downs? Tell us about your path from the moment you left school to now.
Rather ups and downs. So a lot of changes. I would say when I left school, so I went in Algeria for 1 year of university. It was I started with IT, but it was nothing. The first year was nothing with IT, so it was all like again physics, chemistry, and so on, high end. So I remember the theory of I think Schrödinger, who is a German scientist. He did crazy math to locate the electrons when it's flying with the light speed. So quite crazy for let's say physics, chemistry as well. It was interesting, but it has nothing to do with IT. So then I moved to Germany. So when I moved to Germany, I wanted, of course, to continue with IT. And I remember I was in the lecture for about not even 15 minutes. I said, no, it's not IT. It won't be IT. So it was so dry. I could not understand anything really or make sense with anything the lecturer professor was talking about. So went out right away and said, okay, I choose in the first time the wrong thing. Then I wanted back then to do medicine. But then somehow I was scared from blood and seeing blood or whatever as a medical doctor. I said, no, that's nothing for me. I want to help, and I cannot go to that level. I will faint. Yeah. So then back then I had a friend of mine who was German, and she studied energetics and process engineering. And she told me then, she gave me some, she said, okay, you're Algerian, your country has oil and gas and so on and so forth. And with process engineering, you can work in different industries. You can do oil and gas, you can do pharmaceutical, wherever you have production, basically process engineers are needed. No? So this like motivated me. And then, yeah, so I went for process engineering, energetics and process engineering. Yeah. So, yeah, until I got the diploma and then started 2 years first with research in process engineering at the University of Berlin, Technical University.
So wait a second. So you got your PhD in nuclear.
No, it was not specifically nuclear. It was more process engineering. So broader.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
wow.
Nuclear. It's part of energetics. Energetic. Let's say. Process engineering. Yeah. So yeah. So then I started 2 years after the job I had as a research assistant. It was a project where we was investigating distillation processes. It was a project financed by bigger companies like BASF, Bayer, Rashig, and Sulzer. These are companies in process and industry in Germany and Switzerland. Yeah, so we were basically investigating distillation processes. So after those 2 years, then I started as a nuclear engineer or as a process engineer working for the nuclear industry. And that's where I started my nuclear career. So we're basically designing nuclear power plants.
Wow.
We have worked on few projects. There is one in Finland called Olkiluoto 3 nuclear power plant. Then there is one in France, northwest of France, Flamanville 3 nuclear power plant. Then there is one in UK, or 2 blocks in the UK called HPC, Hinkley Point Power Station, nuclear power station. And then the other project I worked on, bigger project I worked on was in China, in Taishan City, in the south of Hong Kong, not too far from Hong Kong and Macau, called the Taishan TCN, so the Taishan nuclear power plant. Yeah. So, and then I worked, of course, on a few offers, like, for example, for the Emirates, for the nuclear power station.
Wow.
For Brazil, for East Europe, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
So you worked in Brazil as well?
No, all those projects, some of them I was expatriated on site, like Finland, I was on site for 2.5 years. Then I moved to Hinkley Point for 3.5 years. Then I moved to China for 4 years. And it was basically then commissioning, installation of the equipment. And then in China, we ended the commissioning or the startup of the 2 nuclear plants. Yeah, took me at least 4 years. And when I moved in 2019 to Kuala Lumpur, so both plants were already producing electricity.
So that's how you also initially moved to KL, because you were working on a nuclear project here as well?
No, I remember when in April 2018, I was looking for the ideal city to settle down with a family and open up my facility. And I remember back then, a friend of mine came from Germany, and we said, okay, so let's do a tour in Asia and then look for that city where we can settle down. So we started with Singapore. Singapore was too crowded, too busy. The life felt very, very stressful. Then we moved on to different stations in cities in Indonesia. So we started with Bali, and then Balikpapan, and then Lombok, and then Manado, I think, in the north. And then we came, as the last station, we came to Kuala Lumpur. And I don't know why, both of us, my friend and me, we felt like Kuala Lumpur, we had a feeling being in Berlin. I don't know why. So the infrastructure,
Really?
the
Wow,
roads,
okay.
yeah. So, and then of course, having studied in Berlin, you have always like this nostalgia feeling of liking to be back, and
Wow.
and so on from and it's just because we had that feeling and said, okay, that should be. So we saw the potential is there for operating a business like mine. the weather is great, people are great, food is great, so everything is great. So we said we try it in Kuala Lumpur. Yeah.
Beautiful. So you mentioned Indonesia. What was your favorite city in Indonesia to settle and to use as a base?
Indonesia was a little bit difficult, I have to admit. So everything was more basically settled for tourism. And with my business, I need people not being on holidays, but rather being during their normal lives and lifestyles and so on and so forth, and helping them when they are working and so on. So I could not imagine that my business would have worked in a city where people are just like coming for 1 week or 2 weeks. Yeah.
Have you tried?
Therefore, I think Indonesia would have been difficult.
Have you tried Hong Kong?
Okay, Hong Kong, yes. We thought about Hong Kong, but Hong Kong also disqualified as being a super busy city. So, and I didn't want just to live to work, you know. So I wanted to help people get in shape and get strong and live a healthier life, but I didn't want to pay with my health for it. So yeah, so Hong Kong is a very stressful. Of course, it depends where you are, you know? So, but if you are in central and southern island, super busy, super busy. Yeah.
Yeah, I lived in Hong Kong for years, so I've lived around the city, so I know how hectic it can be. I lived in Jordan, Wancha. I lived in Loas Park. You know, Loas Park way out.
Okay.
Very nice residential, but very still easy access to everything. Now I can imagine. So now you finally decided on Kuala Lumpur, KL, and that's a city that also I'm really just literally falling in love, and I'm thinking of making the move permanently here as well. So what were the factors that made you decide, hey, this is the place? Why Kuala Lumpur?
Okay, for me, there are a few criteria. So I have to admit the first one being faith. So being able to live my faith and pray, and that my kids can practice this as well. But at the same time, not being a fully closed society like it is, for example, in Saudi Arabia or
Middle East,
Iran or other Middle East countries. So I liked it was again this feeling of being in Berlin. The majority are here, not the Germans, but the Malays. You know? So, but then with the beautiful other communities like the Chinese community, you have the Indian community, you have a lot of expats. So I like the colors, let's say, of the city. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, yeah, Kuala Lumpur is amazing because for me, I lived in 11 countries, 4 continents, and Kuala Lumpur is everything for me because the weather coming from Canada, I think I'm tired of the cold, the snow. You guys don't have that problem in Algeria.
I can imagine. Yeah, but in Finland, I had it in Finland, and I was always questioning myself. My God, what am I doing in Finland?
Yeah. Also, the food is amazing. You know, food is amazing. People, it's a fantastic base to travel. You know, people of all. It's very multicultural, so you can be free to express whatever you want, as long as you're not, you know, bothering others. You can be yourself, all that, and also it's a good city in terms of cost of living. You get amazing quality for what you pay here compared to other places, especially coming from Canada where things are getting out of hand, very crazy expensive.
Yeah.
Kuala Lumpur is a beautiful oasis. It's like a break, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah.
Now, moving forward, you know, there's a saying that says, change your story, change your life. You know, when you were at your lowest point in life or at a very low point in your life, how did you change your story internally to change your story, change your reality externally? Did you do that to the help of, say, friends, family, mentors, books, podcasts, videos? Tell us how you, Riad, you change your story internally. In the story, I mean, what we keep telling ourselves and our own head all day long, to changing your reality externally.
Okay. I think as it starts with that initial question, so am I going to continue working in front of the computer or whatever, doing that job until retirement? And the answer was clear and no. Then the second question was, what is the next step? So what should I do? What is the alternative? And then at the same time, I remember it was a Google search. It was pre-fasting time, pre-Ramadan, like a week before Ramadan. And I launched a search on the web, how to optimize training and nutrition during Ramadan. I wanted to look to other ideas and optimize my approach. This is, I think, like, every year I do the same search and look into maybe new ideas. And that one year when I did that search on Google, I found the typical articles which are just copies from each other's. And then I found one article from a certain person which attracted my attention. And then I liked quite very well how he wrote. He was very, very close to the reality. Very often when people do not fast, they don't know how to optimize really nutrition until they fast. And back then, 2012, 13, fasting wasn't really like it is right now. So now everyone talks about the health benefits of fasting. Back then, not many were talking about fasting. Actually, maybe no one at all. So hence all those articles, I had the feeling they are all irrelevant and not really helpful. But that guy did eventually the work to talk to Muslims or people who fast and optimize their approach. So and then I started looking to reading his full blog. I read a lot about from his blog until I realized he was always mentioning the name of Charles Poliquin. So my mentor, Charles Poliquin does this, he said this, he did this, he said no to this, and so on. So who the hell is Charles Poliquin? So I Googled Charles Poliquin and said, wow, okay, that's the authority in strength and conditioning and rehab and functional medicine and human performance. So I said, wow, okay, that's a big caliber. And so slowly was reading the website from Charles Poliquin until I said, okay, I think I should do the first step and go on a seminar with him. So 2014, I remember October in Dubai, I went for a seminar with him. And it was mind-blowing. From there on, basically, that little question which was in my hand with the little two answers or whatever I had developed to slowly, step by step, to like a supernova, so in myself. And so from there on, gaining the knowledge and learning from someone, a specialist of his field, the best strength coach he produced in 28 different sports, world record holders and Olympic medalists. He was coaching all secret services, etc., etc. So he was the man in terms of producing super fast results, and results, whatever the result might be. If you want to become fast, if you want to become powerful, strong, lose fat, gain muscle, jump higher, being the top executive you can be, even law enforcement and secret services. He was coaching everyone, no? He was back then known to be, when a country needed medalists or medals or gold medals or whatever, then they would call him. So you can imagine with the passion, let's say, to help, with the passion to sports, and then when you gain that top knowledge from firsthand, that's pretty powerful. gives you the tools basically more or less to do the same if you do it correctly. No? And of course, knowing the theory doesn't make you directly a master. So you would have still to do your own mistakes. You would still have to apply that knowledge, gather the feedback, optimize for you. As he was also always used to say, he would say, do like Bruce Lee said. So Bruce Lee said, learn, adapt, remove the unnecessary, make it better, and that's basically yours. Don't just learn percent and then without basically trying and adjusting and adapting and so on and so forth. So yeah, with sincerely day by day, with applying that knowledge and gaining the feedback and optimizing my tools and so on and so forth. So I started seeing the big picture in terms of it's feasible to do a career shift. And I started again, so coaching my colleagues, coaching my neighbors, helping people I know, my family, and so on and so forth. And then step by step, started with the website, then started offering online coaching, started basically offering coaching one-to-one, and all of this in parallel to my job as a nuclear engineer. So, and 2019, it was the time, September 2019, to do the shift from nuclear to basically performance coaching. So I launched the order of all the equipment with all the money saved during 15, 17 years of expatriation, and then started my business.
Beautiful, beautiful. So tell us more about the system that you use at your training. I remember you said there are 3 pillars. One of them is, you wrote a book on it, beautiful book on stress less, sleep better, about the sleep. So tell us about the 3 pillars and tell us why each one is so powerful and so important, and the bigger picture of not only losing weight, but the bigger picture of living a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I learned, again, from Charles Poliquin, I learned primarily to coach very fast and very on a sustainable way, everyone. So whether athlete or non-athlete, no? So, but it's all training. Partly it's nutrition, of course. He started also getting a big believer in recovery and sleep and so on and so forth. And if you would ask him back then, 2014, 15, 16, I have heard the question very often, what is his biggest mistake? He would say to have worked too much and then neglected recovery or slept too little in order to work more and so on and so forth. I think there are certain phases in life where eventually you have to shortcut a little bit on sleep, on recovery in order to achieve more, whatever, to learn something solid and then to catapult your career. But the homeostasis, the center, let's say, so in terms of sleep and recovery and so on and so forth, it needs to be taken care of. If we don't take care about sleep, we are knocking on the door of all kinds of diseases. So back to your question, so what is the system we are using? We call it the 3PP method or the 3-pillar principle. Pillar 1 is sleep and stress management. Pillar 2 is nutrition. And pillar 3 is training. So let's repeat it again with a little bit more detail. So pillar 1 is sleep and stress management. And because there is it doesn't make any sense to think about training if recovery is compromised. So risk of injury is high, and then the results you get, they are not good results. Okay, so that's the first pillar. So usually we look into that first, help the person to sleep better, and then manage the stress better, being aware about the major stresses and also unnecessary stress, and then teaching them to eliminate those stresses and getting them under control. That's all pillar 1, based on my books, Stress Less, Sleep Better. Then the pillar 2 is nutrition, applying a preventive approach. what is a preventive approach? Preventive approach is using also functional medicine as a main tool. So let's say we don't want to wait until a disease knocks on the door in order to start freaking out and taking hard drugs. So we work preventively. We establish better flora. We lower inflammation. We look into improving blood work, cognitive function, increasing overall energy levels, mitochondrial health, and so on and so forth, in order to work preventively and prevent any diseases. Because any disease we may have, it starts basically from a deviation of a health parameter or inflammation parameter, whatever, somewhere. It starts very little, very small, small deviation, and we could have fixed it with better sleep, with better nutrition, with natural supplements. And if we keep going and we ignore our health, then it develops to something where you cannot work anymore with, let's say, primitive or easy or simple solutions. You would have to take drugs or go for even interventions, etc. No? So that's pillar 2. So nutrition, applying a preventive approach. Then the training, of course, colored by Charles Poliquin, I apply an athletic approach. And here where I coach everyone, whether executive or athlete or ex-athlete or average person, whether it's 13 years old or 68 years old. This is the age span of our clients we have here. We always coach them as athletes. And coaching athletes or using athletic methodology to coaching is also holistic in nature. So we look into mobility, we look into posture, we look into structural balance between right and left and upper body, lower body, frontal chain, posterior chain. Even if someone just wants to lose fat, we will still look into all those parameters and fixing them down the road. Beautiful. That's the 3-pillar principle.
Beautiful, beautiful. And how does your system put all of these together to obtain optimal results? For example, I did 2 sequence sessions with you. The first day, it took it nice on me slowly, but I still managed to lose exactly 800 pounds. So, no, sorry, yeah, 800 grams. Sorry, yeah, grams. Yes, yeah. Grams, which is almost a kilo, and then the next day another kilo. So basically 2 kilos and two sessions. So what's your secret? How does 3 pillars come together to get your clients optimal result? Because I've been trying to lose weight for a long time, but I mean, in 2 days, I lost more than that,
Yeah. Okay. So I think the trick is very simple, that there is no trick. So what I do with every client is listen. I listen first. Yeah. I listen, I understand the story, I ask the right questions, hopefully, in order to understand the weaklings. I feel myself like a detective, like Columbo. Yeah. So trying to find where is the mistake, what are the weaklings, yeah. So, and then once I have, let's say, the top 3 weaklings, or 2 or 1 or 4, whatever the weaklings might be, so I try to focus on those. Yeah, it could be sleep, it could be in nutrition, it could be in training. Yeah, and then also the right exposure is important. So if I would have coached you 100% the first session, you would have missed the second and third and the fourth and the fifth and so on and so forth. So it's important to not to overexpose someone, yeah, but also not to underexpose. And a lot of people are actually underexposing, yeah, themselves. They don't know how to progress with the weights. They don't know how to progress with the sets, with the reps, with the breaks, with a lot of parameters. And that's the beauty of the program design. What we learned from all the other students and Ronins, what I call them Ronins, is a proper program design of the strength session based on all those parameters. Yeah, that's key. That's important. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Is your program best suited for? Who is your ideal client?
Okay, I would say the ideal client is anyone. There is no restriction at all. Even people who cannot move, I would, for example, start them on some sort of passive muscle contraction, for example. So I would put them on EMS in order to activate the muscles, get them stronger so that they can move, and then we'll start to move.
What is EMS?
So there is EMS is electromuscle stimulation.
Oh, okay.
So I have few clients, for example, they come in, they have an injury, for example, they have eventually injured themselves, like a Japanese client who came 3 months ago. He could barely work. At the beginning, it took him about 2.5 minutes to bend the knee from straight to fully bending. Okay. And about 1.5 minutes to get it back. So it was very painful. He has an MCL and so we started with him on first of all EMS. So in order to get blood flowing through the knee, supply the nutrients to the tendon, to the injured tendon, and then the second session was a mix between EMS and then slowly moving. By the third session, I remember he started already moving more. And then we applied other techniques like manual therapy in order to reduce the pain and then release the tendon. And then we started slowly with the strength training. And so I would say I feel myself like a chess master or player. So when a client comes in, so it's like a chess game. So you need to understand what are the weak links, and then how to know exactly about every move. Yeah.
Wow.
And there are no limitations. Essentially, it's if let's say you asked about the ideal clients. Of course, the ideal clients is the one I can help the most. And achieve the best of results. Now, of course, people maybe do not have the motivation, so you need to motivate them more. There are people who are motivated, and of course, with some people we achieve 100% results. With others, maybe less of results because of the mindset. Everyone is different, you know? So I try whenever the client gives me their goals. So their goals become my goals, and then I do everything in order to motivate them to get there. But I see them 3 hours a week or 4 hours a week. And I need, of course, to rely on them to apply the techniques on sleep, on nutrition, on recovery, and training, etc. when I don't see them.
I see. One thing I really enjoyed I've been to many different gyms and programs all around the world. But one thing I really loved about you is that you took measurements that nobody else has ever taken for me before, like with your little device. I thought, is he going to do some surgery on me? So freaking out, but
the
yes,
caliper.
yes. So, and also you put all this data, from around the body and a computer. So that was very amazing. So you create basically just like a customized program for each person based on their situation, based on what is their goals and all that. So you work with them. Just like you said, it's important to listen to the client, see where they are, what are they struggling with, and what is the destination they want to achieve, what the goal they want to achieve. So
yeah,
that's something that's really powerful. So now, on average, how long does it take you to get a client from point A to point B to get them actual meaningful, even at times transformational result, just like with this Japanese gentleman? How long does it take you on average to really get results for your clients?
Okay. Applying the holistic approach, the results are, of course, multiple. No? So, for example, let's assume person A has an issue with sleep, has an issue with inflammation, and for example, want to lose fat, has an issue with the shoulder. So with sleep, we can fix sleep within 2 days, within 1 day, within 3 days, if they apply the techniques and take the right supplements. Okay, as fast as this. So usually it never failed me to fix sleep, let's say within 10 days, not longer than 10 days. Yeah. So in terms, for example, of rehab, I have seen people recovering from their injuries in 20 minutes. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So there is a gentleman here. He's a managing director of an oil and gas company. When he came to see me, his shoulders were like this. Yeah. So, and his wife was thinking, because he was traveling a lot and he was carrying a heavy suitcase and maybe only on one side and so on and so forth. Okay. I took that story and started looking to his shoulders. And then I saw a very small scar on the backside of his shoulder. And then whenever I release or apply active release technique, that's the technique I mainly use for releasing issues on mobility or pain and so on. There is like a hard scar tissue also on the muscle. So I asked him, what was this scar? It was very small on the skin. And he said, yeah, this was like a lump of fat, which the doctors have removed. They opened the skin and they removed that lump of fat. This was 3 years ago. And I said, okay, good. But he said, it's just fat, nothing major. I said, okay, if they have removed fat on the muscle fibers, highly probably they injured the muscle as well. They took also part of the fibers. So, and therefore you have the same scar tissue on the muscle, which is also on the skin. Yeah, these are two scar tissues. They are not anymore on each other's because the skin moved. Yeah. But this we need to get released. Once I released that point, within 20 minutes, so before the session, he was not able to raise his arm this way. He would just stop here. So whenever he starts to, he was like, that was on this side, he was go all the way up. On this side, he was like stopping here. We could not do overhead pressing. And then once we released 20 minutes in the same room here, so he was like able to do like this. So both arms. His wife was on her phone when he went to her and did this. She could not believe. Yeah. So it can work very fast. Transformations depend really on a weakling. Let's say fat loss, if we take it as an example, the fastest fat loss I had is I had Daniel, is a German engineer whom I coached. It was 14.6 or 4 kg. I don't remember the numbers exactly. Within 9 weeks, 14.6 kg in 9 weeks. Then there is another guy from New Zealand who just left us. James has completely changed. When he saw his before and after pictures, he said, "Oh my God, I was pregnant in 4th month or 5th month or whatever." No? And the pictures are amazing. These were 6 weeks. Okay, fast doesn't mean healthy, and therefore also the importance of the holistic approach. No? So there are many people who will sell you, okay, fast transformation, and then did they know when you go for a fast transformation that the toxicity levels in the blood will increase? Because as soon as you start mobilizing the fat, you basically excrete toxins out from the fat cells, and that's a major issue for the whole body. Yeah, releasing that much of toxicity at once. That's actually super unhealthy. No? So fast doesn't mean healthy. So you have to take care about all those parameters. So for James, for example, it was key whenever I go for fast transformation, fat loss transformation, I need to make sure that the people are detoxifying properly and not getting in any new toxins or minimizing the exposure to toxicity. That's, for example, if you like to call it a trick, because when people are on fat loss modus, and detoxification. Due to too many toxins being released.
And how would you do that? How do you help people do the detoxification?
Okay, I optimize everything I can. So first of all, I teach them not to get in too many, or to reduce basically the exposure to new toxins. I teach them where are the toxins in water, not to drink from plastic, not to eat from plastic. Be mindful with food like pesticides and insecticides, etc. Cosmetics are a major source of toxicity. For example, a lot of people do not know this. When you go into a car and the car has been packed under the sun, and you go in and you let your windows close and you start the AC and you inhale all those vapors, all of this, it's a high source of toxicity. So you have to wind down the windows and then exchange the air, drive first this way until the atmosphere is well exchanged and refreshed, and then you close and you start you enjoy your AC. And then of course the nutrition has also to go hand in hand with the strategy. So having a high fiber diet, supporting the liver with vitamins and amino acids and large amino acids array, proteins and so on, if possible, in order to support the liver to detoxify properly. So there are also extreme diets, like for example, the carnivore diet. Not sure if you have heard about the carnivore diet.
I think I mentioned you that I was watching a video of a doctor was talking about eating one steak and 2 to 4 eggs for lunch every day, or breakfast, but the first meal of the day.
Correct. It's crazy that we have to go that down that road in order to fix our issues, but it works. It works for many people as an extreme diet. And why it does work? It's basically because it eliminates the majority of toxins from food. The majority of toxins from food are coming with basically vegetables and fruits, etc. No? Because they are sprayed with all kinds of chemicals. So once we have only meats, and of course using meats which are not or from animals which are not injected or with antibiotics or hormones or whatever, then basically you eliminate all kinds of toxicity or sources of toxicity from nutrition. You need, of course, to take care about the liquids and air and so on, and cosmetics on the skin. But then you remove the major part of the toxin influx to the body, and then the body regenerates, the love handles for people disappear, and the lower abdomen, which is very, very tough to remove, very stubborn fat, it just disappears. I have seen transformations from clients who have, without even training, they have started losing just by being on a carnivore diet. Of course, it's not something I would advise to be for life on, for sure not. But I would try to give it to some clients who are, for example, for a few weeks or few months. It's a super powerful tool.
Beautiful. You know, one thing I enjoyed at your gym is that you also add, either at the end or the start of the session, a sauna session. How is the sauna help the overall? Is that part of the detoxification phase, or it help? Because I was melting, like literally melting. I would see all this, my body just melting, the fat and all that. I was enjoying it, but yeah. So how is sauna, playing a role in not only the losing fat and all that, but in the overall picture?
All right. It's actually not as let's say classical sauna, like the Finnish sauna, where you have a heater, electrical heater inside, and then you have stones, and the stones are very hot, and then you spray water, you put water on the stones, and then it evaporates, and that heats up the atmosphere, and then basically the water vapor condenses on our skin and also our sweat in order to cool us. The atmosphere is about 100 degrees Celsius, so it's quite high. So here we are working with the infrared, and infrared produces the heat not at the element producing or emitting the infrared, but rather inside our skin. So the heat is produced inside our skin, and the atmosphere is quite pleasant. So it's about 50 degrees, maximum 60 degrees Celsius. So you can stay longer inside. It's very pleasant. In terms of energy levels, when you come out, you are happier. Everyone comes out with a smile. I even wanted to do before and after pictures for the infrared therapy. When people come in, it's like, oh, stress, yeah, I will do it. And then they come out, yeah, smile, relaxed, and so on, So, and yeah, so how it works is basically infrared light will penetrate the skin. And then mine, which I have, it's from a producer who has, they invented emitting elements of the red light, which are emitting the 3 wavelengths. Worldwide, you will always find only 1 or 2. They have 3 wavelengths, so the far, the mid, and the near infrared. So the far infrared, or FIR, penetrates quite deep. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's about 2 inches inside the skin and heats up the muscles. It heats up the body temperature, and then it's great for detoxification. So,
sorry, speaking of that, sorry to interrupt. Speaking of that, how far under the skin is the fat usually located?
It depends really on where the fat is. So if you have, for example, on the belly, it can go for a few inches. It can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is no limitation really. So the most obese persons, they have few inches, maybe 10 inches or 15 inches. So it's can be a lot of fat, no? And yeah, so hence this will help to help detox and excrete the toxins out from the skin, bypassing the liver. And it's so far I remember the research, it's 8 times more efficient than the classical Finnish sauna. Yeah, so that's the first one, the far infrared. The mid infrared MIR penetrates not so deep, maybe half an inch. And this is great to repair tendons, to repair scar tissues on muscles, on tendons or ligaments. It's for pain relief, basically. And then you have the near, or NIR, near infrared light. And this is great for skin and collagen formations and anti-aging effect, etc. So why we have it here? We have it primarily because of the detoxification effect. It helps my clients achieve better results because of the faster detoxification. So it speeds up the results. Yeah. So let's say if James would not have done the infrared therapy, most probably he would not have seen the results he have seen. So in 6 weeks of transformation. No? So, and then the second thing is potentiates growth hormone production, which is of course a rejuvenating hormone. It helps us repair the tissues, including the brains, the muscle tissues, the organs, and so on and so forth. That's the main hormone for tissue repair. No? So it's very important. And then relaxation, the sleep quality is improved. Stress management for people who are overstressed sometimes. It helps me also when people come in and they the first question I ask, how was your sleep? And if people tell me, okay, my rule is if they slept under 6.5 hours, then there is no training. There is no point of training people.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, no point. They would be wasting time, wasting their time, wasting their money and the session and my time for something which might be even risky. I cannot push as the program has been designed. So I send them then for infrared therapy and said, okay, potentiate your sleep of the coming night. sleep better, and then
Mm-hmm.
come tomorrow for my session.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. That's phenomenal. That's very interesting. Now, tell us about, this podcast is all about cause, about purpose, impact. What is a cause that you're deeply passionate about yourself?
Okay, from one side, again, my passion to help my clients become their best versions mentally, physically. So, applying the holistic approach, fixing their nutrition, fixing their sleep, fixing their recovery, helping them with stress management, getting them physically stronger will for sure impact also mental strength. And then I do also life coaching where I do go through a personality assessment. And then I would not coach them as a coach, but train with them, push them,
Mm,
boost their mindset. So I would say from one side, that's the passion I have. And I enjoy changing lives. On the other hand, of course, to succeed with the business, to succeed with the brand as Peak Human Performance, to succeed and achieve all the goals I have set for myself with books to write, with online courses, with online education systems I would like to offer, and so on and so forth. So yeah, so I would say between those two. So on one side, coaching, helping my clients, caring, and then the other side is
mm.
also boosting the business and growing the business to be able to help even more people.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's amazing. I can feel that in your passion, your for doing good. That's why I can feel the energy of you and the beautiful heart and
Thank you.
impact. Beautiful. Now,
Thank you.
very welcome. Let's wrap this up. And to finish, I'd like to ask you a series of once again rapid fire questions, but this time on advices. Ready?
All right, let's go.
All right. So, what would you say has been so far the the best piece of advice you received in your life?
Read more.
Ah, I love that. Yes. What has been the worst piece of advice you've received so far?
I think being a positive person, I
Mm,
just forget about negative experiences. I try to learn from them so that I don't fall again, or learning again
mhm.
from mistakes of others or whatever. But I really, yeah. So I need to think
Mm,
longer in order to find
sure.
something.
No
I,
worries.
I I don't remember.
No
Yeah.
worries. Now, imagine that you were blessed with a time machine. You can go back in time and sit face to face with the 18-year-old Riad. What's the number one piece of
Wow.
advice you would give to him, knowing all that you know now?
Wow. That's powerful. Powerful. Uh, I would teach him to take care about the connection to the creator,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the key to success for everything. So I have not asked him anything
Mm,
until now which I have not achieved. Okay,
beautiful.
he tests me, he puts me to hardship, but I'm sure it's always for my own good,
Always,
and
of
it's
course.
because he wants to elevate our ranks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is also a hadith, again, briefly talk about it, where it says, for those people who are lazy to worship me, but they have a good heart. They are too lazy to worship me, but they have a good heart, they have good intentions, and they do good. To those people, I would inflict on them trials and tests in
Oh,
order to give them the same or even better than people who have the time to worship me.
really? Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
beautiful.
So hence I see every trial, every test as a test, needs to be succeeded. It gets tough, it gets hard. He tests us on money, financials, health, friends, whatever. But the harder it becomes, the sooner the release is coming, you know? Yeah.
Beautiful. Love that. Now, I'm delighted to hear that you have your own podcast. So very well done for that.
Yeah.
Now, imagine that
Thank
today
you.
you're very welcome. Imagine that today you're interviewing the most special guest in the world, which is yourself. So you're interviewing yourself on your podcast. What is the first question that comes to mind that you want to ask yourself? Don't think too much. The first question that comes to mind.
Difficult, but because there are so many options. Yeah.
Okay, nothing comes to mind. Just choose one.
Nothing really. Yeah, it's my brain now. It's quite loud. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Okay. Now, as the last question I want to ask you, and that's my favorite question to ask my guest, and that is, what is the smallest thing you've done in your life that is that's so far the best, the greatest, most deepest, most profound positive impact in both your life and in your business? For example, for me, it's been starting my podcast. So it doesn't have to be something small. It's just the one thing that you've done that has had the greatest positive impact.
Okay, I would say once I have created a website, I was able then to talk less, to prove less. So once I had a website, people would go to the website and then they would see the result, they would see the pictures, they would see read the text, they would read the testimonials, and then basically it was much easier then. Because before I was like always explaining, I had to explain everything, and without any proof basically. But once I put all the theory and the pictures and the proofs, etc. on the website, it was actually a life changer. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, if someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
The best way to connect with me is actually on LinkedIn, because there I have a lot of friends, or relatively a lot of friends. So just my name, Riad Hechame. Maybe you can write the name because
yes,
under
I will
the
put it.
episode. So yeah, exactly. And if people search for me on LinkedIn and just send me a friend request, usually I check and then I accept friend requests, and they can get in touch with me and then send me a message. I can be also reached or read about my methodology on my website, phbstrengthclinic.com, where I offer my coaching, online coaching, one-to-one online coaching. We also basically sell programs or online programs, or we do online consultations. Or just an email to riad.hechame@gmail.com.
And I believe you also have Instagram. What's your Instagram?
Yes, also my name, Riad space Hechame. Yeah.
Okay.
Of the business, which is PHB Clinic.
Okay. I'll put
PHB_clinic.
I'll put all this in the show. And also, he has a phenomenal book that he graciously gave me a copy, signed copy. And this is, you can also, where can people find this book? Is it on Amazon? Is it on your website?
Yeah, it's the easiest is on Amazon, or also on any major bookstores. So basically, there are two parts here in this book. Part one is all about sleep management, and the part two is all about stress management.
Do you have a Kindle version? Do you have a Audible version as well?
No, unfortunately, not yet the Audible, but we have a Kindle version. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
And the other book I'm co-author of is this one called The Winner's Mindset, with Eric Severson and 33 elite athletes, coaches, and entrepreneurs, peak performance strategies for success. That's also a great book.
Beautiful.
Chapter 8 is mine, but there are great people, 33 people, great mindsets, trainers, etc., who give their best techniques to help change mindset of people. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Listen, I will put all of these. You will send me after all of your links. I will put them on the show notes.
Sure.
Listen, Riyadh, absolute honor, absolute blast that we connected, that
Thank
to
you
have
very much.
on the podcast, share your story. You know, I love what you're doing. You have a phenomenal story. You're a true leader with
Thank you.
heart. You have a beautiful, big heart. You're all about serving, helping, and most importantly,
Thank you, brother.
transformation. So I salute you. You're a true leader with heart. Keep shining your light. Keep blessing the world with your presence, with your
Thank you.
impact,
Thank you.
with your work, with your gym, with everything you do, with your kindness, with your generosity. Stay safe. Stay awesome. God bless you, brother. I salute you. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. To you too. To you
You're
too.
welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye bye.